Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paddy and welcome back to another edition of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. We are in the Charlotte City Hall for Battle for the Mid-Atlantic, Battle over the Mid-Atlantic. I'm going to be calling it Battle for the Mid-Atlantic today, where of course we determine our number one contender for the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship at Where It All Begins Again, the anniversary show this year going to be held in front of hopefully 5,000 people at the Ace Speedway. Our first show is a regional company. Who will be main eventing that show? And there are lots of questions to be asked tonight, of course. The Battle for the Mid-Atlantic is the last 2 years has been a 7-match tournament where 6 matches occur, or it's actually been a 6-match tournament where 5 matches occur, one of them being a tag team match, and the winners of those matches head on to the finals. This year it's going to be a gauntlet. I think it's called a gauntlet. Yeah, a gauntlet. 2 people will begin, the winner stays on, and new challengers come out every time a match ends until there are no challengers remaining, and the last person standing is going to be the victor, the winner of the Battle for the Mid-Atlantic, and they are going to go on to be the number one contender for the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship. But also tonight we have a Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship match as Huracan takes on the champion Logan Wolfsbane. Very interesting matchup indeed. But also tonight we are saying goodbye to a very important figure here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. Whether you loved him or you hated him, he was definitely influential, and he was one of the biggest players we've had here in a very long time. He was charismatic, he was great at professional wrestling, and it's going to be very sad to say goodbye, but he's going to a great place. He's going down south, he's heading to Florida, he's going to do very, very good things. I'm absolutely certain of it, but tonight he has his last hurrah. So I hope you guys will join me in saying goodbye to Island Boy Apollo, because in our main event of the evening, he takes on George Wolfe, the Big Bad Wolf, for the World Heavyweight Championship. Legendary? Guys, it's gonna be legendary. It's gonna be amazing. We're in Charlotte City Hall. Let's not waste any more time before getting in to Battle for the Mid-Atlantic. We're kicking things off with the Mean Machine defeating American Elemental with a metal face jam, kicking off the Battle for the Mid-Atlantic. Mean Machine stays on, he defeats American Elemental. Good stuff from him. American Elemental trying to use that fast, fluid grappling mixed in with high flying, the traditional Japanese junior style. But the Mean Machine, he's getting better and better every single month, and he throws those punches, those lefts and those rights, and manages to take down American Elemental in a very short match and picking up the victory with the metal face jam. Who's up next? It is Cowboy Brad Blaze, who also gets defeated by the Mean Machine. Brad Blaze tries to trade fists with the Mean Machine, but in the end, Mean Machine's able to just use his raw tenacity, the violence, and he stays on. Who's he facing next? It is, of course, Deadly Dean Waldorf, who tries to slow down the Mean Machine, tries to work him down, tries to grind out a match. Deadly Dean Waldorf, known as a man who can just work down his opponent, can spend minutes on minutes just working down a limb and grinding out a victory. But the Mean Machine, he's got that momentum. He's like a sandile or a crocorock or a crocodile with the ability Moxie. Every single opponent that he's beaten so far, God, that was a worse reference than Mauro Ranallo. But still, every opponent he's beaten so far has upped his attack by at least one stage. And he has gone on the offensive tonight, beating down Dean Waldorf with vicious punches and vicious kicks and picking up the victory with that metal face jam. Can anyone take down the Mean Machine? Yes! Fro sure can, as he comes in hot as you like. Big opportunity for Fro Shore, and picks up the victory with a quick roll-up. Fro Shore now the man on a mission. Who's he going to be facing next in the Battle for the Mid-Atlantic? It's Acid 2 who comes out and tries to grapple with Fro Shore, tries to bring that fast-paced, fluid grappling action mixed in with the Devil May Care reckless limb. I can't remember what the phrase is now, but anyway, limbs on the line, we'll call it that, as he just throws himself at Fro Shore with reckless abandon, trying to use his body as a weapon, because remember, he is part of the Devil May Care stable, the philosophy that it doesn't matter how many concussions you rack up in your career, so long as those concussions are matched with championships. And tonight, Acid tries to take that opportunity, tries to add one more big accolade on his record, but in the end, he's unable to counter the rolling Californian death machine that is Froshore, the man who's on a mission right now to get back to that that Mid-Atlantic Championship picture after Logan Wolfsbane put him on the shelf for 6 months, put hard times upon the family of Froshore, and now he wants to rail against the machine that is Team Progress, the machine he thinks is based on flawed ideals, thinks George Wolfe is not a man to be looked up to. And tonight, he gets one step closer because he beats Acid 2, and he moves on, because who's next in the battle for the Mid-Atlantic? It's Dewey Archer. The man known as the architect of your destruction tries to grapple with Froshore. You know, Dewey Archer with that charismatic grappling style, going hold for hold with the king of California, the king of bros. Froshore going hold for hold, but Froshore, you know, he's got those solid technical basics, and he goes toe to toe with one of the greatest grapplers in the history of Mid-Atlantic wrestling, and indeed picks up the victory with the Coastal Zone Californian clutch, and you gotta believe Froshore on one hell of a run right now. Can anybody stop him? Oh shit. That was not intended. Sorry for the fake out there, guys. Scythe does indeed defeat Froshore. Very sad. Very, very sad. As Scythe comes out, and you know, Scythe's been on too much of a wrecking path lately. He comes out and he just brutalizes Froshore, just batters him. Just comes out, big boot, big choke slam, disrupting that flow and that momentum, and Fro just claws and he scratches, he says, "No, I need this! I need this!" But in the end, Scythe picks up the victory. Oh, just realized this is all wrong. Whatever. Scythe wins, lol. Picks up the victory by pinfall with that underworld spike, ending Froshore's chances at winning the battle for the Mid-Atlantic. But now Scythe is the man. Who will he be taking on next, as Bossman Brayfield comes out to announce that this next participant is the last challenger. So this next match is the finals of the battle for the Mid-Atlantic, and Scythe, you're going to be taking on a man who had a title shot. He had a title shot scheduled for the Clash, but he doesn't want that title shot. Oh no, he wants it at the Where It All Begins Again, the biggest show in MAW history. Scythe, you're going to be taking on Ernest Youngman. And Ernest Youngman gets on the mic and says, "That's right, I gave up my title shot. I gave up my title shot at Where It All Begins Again because I said at the start of the year this was going to be a big year for Ernest Youngman right here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. And Scythe, you've beaten me before. I've only ever beaten you by disqualification. I know this is going to be an uphill battle, but I need to win this and be the main event at the biggest show in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling history. I need this, and I will fight tooth and nail to make it happen because I'm the wrestling machine. I'm the best there's ever been. And monsters will be slain, and diamonds will fade, but Ernest Youngman is forever, baby, and tonight, I'm gonna prove it." And Ernest Youngman goes out there, and he does indeed defeat Scythe with the hit. It was an uphill battle. Scythe tries to beat down Ernest Youngman. Scythe, of course, went 5 minutes with one of the greatest brawlers in the territories today. He's battered, he's bruised, he's brutalized. But indeed, Ernest Youngman is able to take advantage of that. Every single technical maneuver under the sun, working over limb after limb after limb, going hold for hold with the demon Scythe. And Ernest Youngman, with superb wrestling and good heat, in the end, picks up the victory, wins the battle for the Mid-Atlantic, and ladies and gentlemen, Ernest Youngman is going to Where It All Begins Again. Whew, I tried to keep up a frantic pace during that to give you the feeling of a gauntlet match. That did take up in-game around 40-50 minutes, so I hope you guys did enjoy that. But we're not done, folks. 2 title matches to come. In quick fire, one after another, it is time for our Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship. Can Huracan, the youngster, cap off a wonderful pair of debut years with a victory over our champion? He cannot, as Logan Wolfsbane manages to defuse the... Oh yeah! So we have the I booked this before I booked the Battle for the Mid-Atlantic Gauntlet, so when I saw that I was like, Wait, what was I planning to do with this? Oh, yes, I remember now. Yes, so Huracan comes at Logan Wolfsbane with that high-flying lucha libre mixed in with those with that solid technical wrestling to counter the Logan Wolfsbane technical wrestling that he is so proficient at. But we've talked about this before. Logan Wolfsbane is so powerful, so vicious, so aggressive that he can just break holes that other people would have to escape out of. And indeed, Huracan, whatever technical maneuvers he tries with Logan Wolfsbane are just going to fail due to the raw power of Logan Wolfsbane. And Logan Wolfsbane uses that power so much in this match, throwing Huracan, the youngster, the lucha libre man, around like a ragdoll to the outside, brawling on the outside. And during those brawls on the outside, Logan Wolfsbane throws Huracan over the announcer's table and just floors Gary Walker. Gary Walker's just sitting there like, come on, man, what the fuck? And then he gets just a luchador in his face. Boom! And he sees that it's Logan Wolfsbane that throws the luchador into him. And he, obviously Gary Walker and Logan Wolfsbane have had a history before. And indeed, when Gary sees this, he gets really furious and tries to run in the ring and interfere, trying to hit Logan Wolfsbane, but in the end he accidentally hits Huracan. Logan Wolfsbane picking up the victory with the Boston Crab. But Logan Wolfsbane has a little click in his mind after Gary Walker hits Huracan, or comes at Logan Wolfsbane, trying to hit Logan Wolfsbane, hits Huracan. Logan now knows that Gary was trying to hit him. And that means Logan thinks that Gary has stepped into the world of professional wrestling. Gary's still a commentator. Gary Walker is a commentator. Let's not forget that, right? But now, because remember, Logan Wolfsbane did not attack Gary because he was a commentator a couple of months ago. But now Gary has tried to attack Logan Wolfsbane. And now Logan thinks Gary is free game. And so immediately after he accidentally hits Huracan, Logan Wolfsbane just... sorry about that, by the way. Logan Wolfsbane just super kicks Gary Walker straight out of the ring. I'm going to put Skype on Do Not Disturb real quick for you guys. The first use of my anti-spoiler screen that I've had for a couple of, 2 years now. There you go. Sorry about that. Super kicks Gary Walker straight out of the ring, straight over the top rope, and, Logan Wolfsbane has shown that he is willing to put his hands on commentators so long as they make the first move. But of course, did Gary Walker really make the first move? Because Logan Wolfsbane did throw Huracan into him. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for our main event of the evening. I should just mute the fucking computer, shouldn't I? So you wouldn't hear the Skype sound that well. It's now time for our main event of the evening. I started this series 5 years ago. And when I did, the ace of the company was Greg Gage. He was definitely a hesitant ace. Wasn't sure of himself, but he was the ace of the company. He had just come off of a big victory over Roddy Ramos, and definitely he had some growing to do, but he was the top of the company. And he had a almost 2-year-long title reign, where he just proved himself against so many big names. But there was a little guy who came in as part of a tag team towards the end of my first year here, named Island Boy Apollo. And he instantly did some great things. Terrible, but great. He won the Ripcord Invitational in his first year here. He answered Greg Gage's cocky open challenge and ended up picking up a Mid-Atlantic Championship within 4 months of coming to the company. He was charismatic, electrifying, a great brawler, and over the course of the last 5 years has managed to rack up 3 Mid-Atlantic Championships. Pulling back the curtain, that's as many as Fro Shore had in the 2013 series. So he's a big deal. He's great. He's charismatic. He's always got a smile on his face, and as I liked to say back in the early days of his run, every entrance he has felt like a party. Well, tonight we get to witness his final entrance here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. We got maybe we'll have some fake palm trees here in Charlotte City Hall. Got some streamers, some confetti, and it's time to have one more party. And in our main event of the evening, we say goodbye to a legend with a 69. Giggity. Island Boy Apollo defeats George Wolfe in 20 minutes and 6 seconds with an Island Driver, and Island Boy Apollo completes the Grand Slam, picking up the World Heavyweight Championship to a chorus of cheers. George Wolfe puts on one hell of a performance, mixing in the brutal, gritty, Japanese puresu style brawling with some technical basics that Sam Keith would be proud of. George Wolfe is almost the living personification of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling's wrestling portion. But opposite him is the last outlaw. Opposite him is the man from Puerto Rico, the island sensation, the most electrifying member of the sports entertainment industry. He, if George Wolfe epitomizes the wrestling portion of MAW, Island Boy Apollo epitomizes every other part of it. As the current Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Champion once said, he's here for the battle and gone for the party. Well, that's almost the opposite of what Island Boy Apollo actually is, because every single battle Island Boy Apollo has is always a party. And every single time he's got an obstacle to climb, he does it with glee, he does it with passion, and he does it with ability. And he's done it again tonight. Days to go before he leaves the territories for good. He is top of the mountain once again. And the little boy from Puerto Rico who was told he'd never be anything has one of the greatest records in the history of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling and some of the biggest championship wins in this business. He's made a career off of proving people wrong, and tonight he does it again, and that is to say nothing about the wonderful man on the other side of the ring, one of the greatest Mid-Atlantic Wrestling success stories. And both these men epitomize Mid-Atlantic Wrestling in the late 2010s. And this is a hell of a nostalgic match, I'm sure, for many of the crowd in game. And good God, am I glad we got to do it. A wonderful, wonderful showcase for this company. A wonderful, wonderful World Heavyweight Championship match that I'm sure will go around the territories on tape. And I'm absolutely overjoyed that I've got to work with both of these men. And I wish Island Boy Apollo the absolute best in his future employment. And indeed, after the match, Island Boy Apollo, he hugs George Wolfe, and George Wolfe gets on the mic for a second and says, "It has been a pleasure working with you. I wish you had the time for me to get my rematch, because I'd beat you. But like I did in the Ripcord Invitational 3 years ago. But absolutely all the best of luck to you. And I'm sure you'll do fantastically." And he walks out, and then Island Boy Apollo is left in the middle of the ring, and he gets on the mic and says, "I owe so much of my life to this company. I have absolutely no doubt that if I didn't sign for Mid-Atlantic Wrestling back in 2016, I wouldn't be going to Florida right now. And there's a bittersweet truth to that I think rings home with me. But now I get to stand here in the middle of the ring and say that I'm a 3-time Mid-Atlantic Wrestling champion. I've won the Ripcord Invitational, the Sam Keith Classic, the World Tag Team Championships, and now finally the World Heavyweight Championship. There is nothing in my life that has given so much to me than Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. And I've got to see guys like Gino Montero and Greg Gage, and I've got to see guys like Roddy Remus, Clark Alexander. I've got to see guys like that come and go, and I've got to see guys like Logan Wolfsbane rise. I've got to see guys like Scythe doing so well, as batshit insane as he is. Dewey Archer, Ernest Youngman, these just fantastic professional wrestlers, and it has been an absolute pleasure. An absolute pleasure. And I promise you, I will never forget this place. And I promise you that any opportunity I have to come back here and prove to everyone else on this roster that I'm still the guy, and I'm still the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, and I'm still the man who's a 3-time Mid-Atlantic Wrestling champion. I'm still the man who overcomes every obstacle you put in front of you, and be damn sure, send this as a warning to each and every one of those boys in the back. Never call me up and say I can't do something, because you will regret it later. And I tell you what, I've been absolutely overjoyed to get to come out here and work in front of every single one of you. And I'm so happy that Mid-Atlantic Wrestling is seemingly growing. I'm so excited to watch where it all begins again in 2 months. Please check out ticket details for the Ace Speedway. It's on the website already. It's going to be a great show. I'm sure Ernest and either Logan or Marv are going to put on one hell of a match, and it's going to be fantastic. And yeah, it's just been an absolute pleasure. And I wanted to say this one last time before I drop this wonderful, wonderful title in the middle of this ring and leave it here where it belongs, in the territories, the greatest wrestling on the planet. This belt belongs here, not with me. I wanted to say this one more time. Thank you all for coming. I hope you have a wonderful travel home, and I hope you join us again next month. Thank you all. Have a good night. And Island Boy Apollo leaves to his music, to the party, goes through the crowd one last time, leaves the world title in the middle of the ring, and we get to say goodbye to one of the series' great success stories. That was actually kind of emotional for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy, please remember to leave a thumbs up. Check out the rest of the series. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're feeling especially generous, there's a link to my Patreon in the description. If you want to hear me ramble, there's a link to my Twitter in the description. And yeah, I know, okay, so like I said at the start of the episode and last episode, I know there was a mixed reaction in the comments over the years. So I want you, whether you loved him or you hated him, if you're watching this, to write in the comments your goodbye to Island Boy Apollo. And it doesn't have to be positive and it doesn't have to be negative. I just want to hear one last comment on somebody that has helped define this series. So, yeah, aside from that, I hope you guys will join me next time, and I hope you guys will let me know what you think in the comments below. Write your goodbyes to Island Boy Apollo, and I'm saluting off. I'll see you guys next time for The Clash. Marvelous Marv Statler against Logan Wolfsbane for the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship. The final stop on the road to the Ace Speedway. The final show we will ever hold as a small company. Be there. I'll see you guys then. Peace out.